steel beams, turbine motors, copper wiring, and scrap metal. The Lenox Metals Recycling Show is for the serious big players. If you're working in a demolition, renovation, construction, in the hotel industry, government agency, or a utilities company, or just need to know what to do with your scrap and junk, then tune in. Al Hornstein, CEO of Lenox Metals, has over 25 years of experience as a commercial and industrial scrap metals dealer. He will bring you valuable information on how to save time, money, and your company's reputation when it comes to processing your recyclable scrap materials. Now, here's your host, Alan Hornstein, and his co-host, Justine Gronwald.
Welcome back to the Lenox Metals Recycling Show. I'm your co-host, Justine Gronwald, with your host, Alan Hornstein, the CEO of Lenox Metals.
Good morning, Justine.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good.
Great.
Today, we wanted to talk about how you divert 25 million pounds of scrap every year. And you've been nominated for Exporter, right, of the year, 3 consecutive years before winning.
Yes.
So that's a lot of stuff that you're schlepping around.
We schlep a lot. Not an often used word here in Hawaii. In 2008, we again were nominated the third year, and we won that award in that year. And that award really put the company on the local map here in the state, and I was very, very proud of that. Also my employees, who were primarily responsible for getting us there.
Well, that's great. I want to ask you though, to be nominated, what does a commercial industrial recycler have to accomplish to get the nomination?
Well, they nominate different types of businesses.
Oh, okay.
And in this case, all of those businesses fell into the import-export categories.
Okay.
Typically, we do a lot more exporting of Hawaii product. So that consisted of many different types of companies. The criteria is pretty much generic and based on things like gross revenue sales, cost maintenance, profitability, the tracking of growth over a set pattern of years. So there are certain things a company needs to achieve to at least be nominated and qualified as a nominee.
And then finally you won.
Yeah, and finally in the third year, much to my surprise, we did win.
Well, if you're going to be moving 25 million pounds of scrap per year, that's a huge accomplishment.
It is, and most people don't think about the amount of material that's diverted into the recycle chain, but it is in fact truth, so it's up to our company to identify various opportunities which allow us to go in either for small or large clients and identify opportunities where we can divert many of those materials away from the landfill.
Right, I was just going to say, that's an admirable thing to do, because imagine 25 million pounds of scrap that's not taken away or properly disposed of. What does that do for our little island, or anywhere for that matter?
Well, as an island, we run the city and county landfill here for landfillable type materials. That's become very regulated over the years primarily because of the driver, which is called recycling. And many recycling technologies have been born out of that regulation. For instance, metal itself. Well, metal comes from various end-use products that have lived their life in the life cycle chain and now have to be removed, recycled, or reused in some cases. But in many cases, packaged and sold to consumers who will remelt the metal for reuse in the manufacturing world.
And it sounds like you've championed that whole process. I mean, in order to do that, and of course, I mentioned in a previous episode that I went to your facility, which takes up about 3.5 acres, and you have all the equipment that will be, it gives you the ability to do that, from the trucks to your licensed drivers to the more enormous things that I saw on your plant, conveyor belts, welders. I mean, you got everything there.
Right.
Obviously, you need that, for that 25 million pounds of scrap metal.
Yeah, as they say, we need room, we need equipment, we need people, we need operators, people who are part of the skilled workforce that work in our company. They could be welders, they could be machine operators, material sorters, handlers, fork guys who are certified, and women who are certified to run forklifts. And it's a very, very condensed business in that it's a very active business, both for people, mobile equipment, and of course safety always being an issue is prime in our mind.
Right.
But we do it without, zero injury to anyone in our
Fantastic.
workforce, and we're very careful about that. And it's because of the size and the enormous latitude of our business, which continues to grow, that we look for opportunities in the marketplace that make sense for clients or prospects.
Yeah, so the 25 million pounds comes from all different sources. We mentioned in previous episodes that you work with the military, utilities, construction, and all the companies that are under construction that fall under that, as well as you do those epic hotel renovations.
Yes.
That's where all this stuff comes from.
Yes.
You want to expound on that and let us know if there's anything else that we're leaving out that comes from these generators?
A representation of a project we were able to participate in with one of the larger construction companies here was the renovation of the Halekulani Hotel.
Right, we mentioned that. That was interesting.
Yeah, this was an enormous undertaking in that it was a top to bottom, right down to the ground floor, retrofit and renovation of the entire hotel. And this was done without any disturbance to its patrons
Right.
on a 24/7 basis. It consisted of rooms, plumbing, anything that was in front of the walls or behind the walls, air conditioning, venting, to the actual makeup of the room itself. So when the hotels modernize their rooms, everything is modernized at one time. So in this case, we were there in the evening hours, as I call them,
Right.
24/7, collecting scrap metal that was being pulled from essentially a 35-story building.
I was going to ask, how many stories was that? And then how many rooms? And, what makes up a hotel? That's a lot of stuff.
It is. The Halekulani is one of the smaller hotels.
Yeah.
In the 300 to 500 room class, whereas some places like the Hilton Village
Oh,
is
that
more,
is
1,000 rooms and plus.
That's a village.
Yeah, it's true.
Really.
It's a true village in that sense, and we've done work down there as well. We were also recently involved in the demolition of the International Marketplace, another 32-story building consisting of building space, parking space, assisting a primary demolition contractor, removing all the metal, separating the metal on site or separating it at our facility,
Oh,
and
so
then
you-
recycling.
You do separating right there on site too,
Yeah,
as well.
much of it, there's a lot of pre-sorting done on the project sites.
Oh.
If it's possible and they have room to do it. Most of the demolition contractors will provide that service to the building clients when they go in and start services up. It's our job to be there to collect the material on a timely basis and on the timetable of the principal owner or the
Right.
contractor themselves.
And we talked about that in a recent episode, how you will customize the logistics, everything down to how they get paid for their metal. So everything is very, very suited for that one generator. We mentioned that not one size fits all.
Correct.
It's really down to every little detail that you take care of.
That's true. Every project site presents a different set of criteria and circumstances. Whether you're accessing a site, whether you're leaving a site, whether it's in the middle of Waikiki or in the middle of Lu'u'u'ulei, a government reservation up on the west side of the island. So we're given a set of shall we say rules of engagement, to come into properties, to leave properties without any disturbance to that property.
Do you see, you're giving the number of 25 million pounds. Do you see this increasing steadily? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Yeah, well, in the next 5 years, I actually see the growth of our company doubling because of the magnitude of construction going on right now.
Especially in the, like you said, the Renaissance, renovation, and even new, meaning that the old has to go.
Yeah. And there is a renaissance of rebuilding and renewing and reconstructing many of the hotels down in Waikiki. We're through that almost like a 20-plus year cycle of them looking at themselves at a modernization plan, which just doesn't take into account aesthetics, but it takes into account energy efficiency.
Oh, yes, yes.
LEED certification.
Replacing all that energy, eating all that, replacing it with more efficient, everything from electricity to water.
Yes.
Right?
Everything relating to the makeup of the infrastructure of a hotel. It starts possibly at a roof system with a chilling device that runs the air conditioning throughout the hotel. It goes down into the actual ventilation, plumbing, lighting. Lighting is a very, very big area of opportunity because of the technology advancements that are made for hotel infrastructure and construction. Everyone in the hotel industry is concerned about running efficiently.
Right. And we mentioned prior to shooting this that, you'll take everything that is not efficient anymore, things with mercury and like old lamps and stuff like that, that's taken into consideration.
Yeah, we find a lot of different types of materials in our containers. Some unsuspecting. But we're trained to identify certain problematic waste materials that are in our waste stream.
Yeah, and we're gonna dedicate one episode toward that because I think that's a really, really important thing for people to know.
Sure.
And but for now, I just want to focus on just the enormous amount of scrap material that I think people should be aware of. That if it weren't taken away properly or disposed of properly, we'd be in a world of hurt, really.
We would. As a small island community, it tends to be very, very fragile.
Yeah.
When you hear about events such as illegal dumping going on, sometimes not intentionally, but sometimes intentionally, it's kind of a travesty to the landscape. But you have to ensure that you're dealing with trained, certified, permitted people to carry, whether it's scrap material or waste material, around the city in an intelligent way. So, the local public sector where we're driving our trucks is protected properly. And so you just not have to have permits, but you have to have people who are trained to run the trucks and drive the trucks, who would know how to respond in a circumstance where there might be a potential spill or
and that's
an
all
emergency
for our
cleanup.
safety.
Yes, especially the public sector.
Yeah.
The public
The unsuspecting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you want to double in size. Well, you not want to. I think it's going to naturally go that way. That it's in 5 years it's going to double. to about 50 million pounds of scrap. Are you looking to look for a bigger facility? I mean, are you entertaining that idea, or are you just going to retrofit what you have to accommodate doubling in size?
Yeah, well, even in our industry, we have at our availability new types of equipment. You know, we operate with a couple of excavators, but we might double in size to 4 excavators instead of 2. It all depends on throughput and activity that will go on in the coming years. Also, trucks, more types of specialized trucks are needed, containers that are suited to ride on top of those trucks, trailers, different types of equipment that if we didn't have would be needed to handle the capacity at double the size that we're handling.
But,
so
yeah.
that's a function of just growing with the existing infrastructure we have in our business.
Yeah, I've seen though, you've been at it for about 28 years now, and
Yes.
it looks like you've evolved the company as things change. So,
Right.
from what I gather, it's like for you, it's not going to be any difficulty evolving to take more capacity in the next 5 years.
It shouldn't be. I mean, we look at every project as a standalone project. We figure out how to man the project, whether it's with our own people, our project managers, our own truck and fleets, and then we have a series of subcontractors who also help and assist with a lot of our projects, and we've created great relationships over the years, with certified, permitted, trained people that come in and assist us with our business daily.
Well, congratulations, because what I see too is that you'll be able to employ more people.
Sure.
You'll allow more people to have jobs, and at the same time, protecting our land and helping the business owners that need to get rid of this stuff in a really sensible, ecological way.
Yeah, we're here to serve the private and public communities here, and continue to do what we do.
Oh, great.
Yes.
So at the bottom of your screen, you will see the number area code 808-518-3997. Just call or text that number with your name and email, and you will get through the email a report from Alan covering a lot of the topics that are being discussed in our podcast show. So thank you for joining us today. This is Justine, co-host, and Alan, your host
Thank
of
you.
Lenox Metals. Until next time.
Aloha.